Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to learn how to sketch quadratic graphs. Now, quadratic graphs are everywhere, from the arc of a bridge to the path of the football in the air. Once you will learn how to sketch them, you can easily predict where they will land. So without wasting time any further, let's do some math. First, we'll try to understand what are the things or the important points to remember while sketching a quadratic graph. So let's check. So first we'll label it quadratic graph. So the very first thing is the shape of the graph. So first we'll try to understand how the shape of the graph actually is. So it looks like this on a Cartesian plane. It can be sketched like this, which is an upper parabola, or exactly opposite. So let's sketch two different ones. Let's say we have one here and another one here. So the quadratic graphs can be of two types. Let's say an upper parabola, another one lower parabola. But in which case you will get an upper parabola and in which case you will get lower parabola. So we'll try to understand that now. Starting from the general form of quadratic equation. The general form of quadratic equation is y is equals to ax square plus bx plus c. Now in case when the value of a will be greater than 0, we'll get an upper parabola, or when the value of a is positive. When the value of a is lesser than 0 or negative, we'll get a lower parabola. Now things to remember while sketching a parabola. When you sketch a parabola, first basically you have to draw the table values. That's the first thing. Table values. From the table values, you will get the points. Let's say you are sketching from -3 to 3 or -6 to +6. So you'll draw the table value, all the coordinates, and then you join all the points with a free hand, not using a scale. And that's how you'll get your parabola, either upper parabola or a lower parabola. Second thing, what are the points that you have to mention on the graph? So you have to mention all the points of intersection. This is your x1, this is your x2, this is your y-intercept c, which you can also get from the quadratic equation if it is given it in quadratic form. So x1, x2, c, so all the point of intersections. Apart from point of intersection, you also have to mention the turning point. Let's say the turning point is here. This is the turning point. So you also have to mention the turning point. But how to find the turning point? We just so we know how to find x1 and x2. x1 and x2 are the solutions of the quadratic equation. When you will equate the equation to 0, and you can solve the equation using factorization method or quadratic formula, you will get the value of x1 and x2. The c you will get from the equation itself, but for the turning point, you have to find the turning point using different methods. In this video, I'm teaching you how to find the turning point using the algebraic method through the formula. So when your equation is in the form of ax square plus bx plus c, let's say equals to 0, you can find the x component of the turning point, this x component of the turning point, using the formula x equals to minus b by 2a. Once you get the value of x, substitute the value of x in the main equation to get the value of y, whatever it is, the y component. So this is how we find the turning point. There are two more methods. One is completing the square formula or form, and the third one is differentiation. Through differentiation also you can find the turning point. I'll just give you a hint. At the turning point or the stationary point, your dy by dx is equals to 0, because this is the stationary point. Here your dy by dx of the given function is 0. Through that also you can find the stationary point. I'll cover those two different methods of finding the turning point in a different video. For now let's move on to problem solving. We'll solve a few questions based on quadratic graphs. So let's move ahead. So the first one is, it says here is the graph of y equals to x square minus 2x minus 3. So the graph is already sketched. They're telling us write down the turning point of the graph y equals to x square minus 2x minus 3. Now because the graph is already sketched and we can clearly see the coordinates here. So this is the coordinate, which is 1 comma minus 4. So we can write 1 and minus 4. We just learned the formula also. What if it is not sketched on a grid? If it is sketched on a blank page? In that case, because we already have the equation, see, this is how you can find the turning point. X equals to minus b by 2a. So minus 2 by 2a. So 2 into 1. So you will get 2 by 2, which is 1. That's how the x component is 1. And to find the y component, we have to plug in the value of x component in this equation. So y is equals to 1 square minus 2 into 1 minus 3. So you will get 1 minus 2 minus 3. So that is 1 minus 5, which is minus 4. So that's how we are getting 1 and minus 4 here as well. Now the second part, it says use the graph to find the roots of the equation x square minus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. So roots of the equation, you can clearly see that our x1 is here and our x2 is here. x1 is minus 1 and x2 is positive 3. So minus 1 and positive 3. So we can write x1 equals to minus 1 and x2 is equals to positive 3. Let's move on to the next question now. Question number 2. It says here is the graph of 2x plus 6 minus x square. 2x plus 6 minus x square. It says write down the turning point of the graph 2x plus 6 minus x square. So now we can clearly see that the turning point is here, but we cannot see the exact value. It's not here, it is somewhere here. But to find the exact turning point, let's rewrite the equation in the general form. So minus x square plus 2x plus 6. We know that we can use the formula x equals to minus b by 2a. So minus b upon 2a. So 2 into minus 1. So basically 2 upon minus 2, that is 1. So x is 1. So this is the turning point. And y is definitely 7. So 1 comma 7. If you want to find, you can put the value of 1 in this equation, you will get the value. So 2 into 1 plus 6 minus 1 square. So that is 2 plus 6, 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. So 1 comma 7. It says use the graph to find the roots of the equation x square is equals to 2x plus 6. We can also write it as 0 is equals to minus x square plus 2x plus 6, which is the same equation. So the solution is this and this, which is, so this is your this is your negative 1 and this is your negative 3, but this point is negative 1.6, negative 1.6. It says use your graph, so we'll check the value from the graph itself. So this is your negative 1.6, this is your positive 3.6. So negative 1.6 and positive 3.6. So x1 is equals to negative 1.6 and x2 is equals to positive 3.6. Let's move on. Question number 3, it says here is the graph of y equals to x square plus 2x minus 5. The graph is already there. Write down the turning point of the equation. So it's a similar question. Use a graph to find the roots of this equation. So these questions are pretty similar. You can try question number 3 and write down the answer in the comment section, and let's see how many of us guess the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 4. It says complete the table of values for y equals to x square plus x minus 6. So what will be the value of y when x is negative 3? So negative 3 the whole square, negative 3, negative 6. The answer is 0. At negative 3 it is 0. At negative 2, let me check. At negative 2 it is negative 4. At negative 1 it is negative 6. At 0 also it is negative 6. At 1 it is negative 4. Now at 3 it is 6. So now we have all the table values. It says on the grid draw the graph of y equals to x square plus x minus 6 for the values negative 3 to 3. So now we have all the values. We can easily plot it here. So at negative 3 it is 0. So negative 3, 0 is here. Negative 2, negative 4. So negative 2, negative 4 will be here. Next one, negative 1, negative 6, negative 1, negative 6 is here. 0 and negative 6. Then 1, negative 4 here. 2, 0. And at 3 it is positive 6. At 3 it is positive 6. So basically the graph looks like this. If we sketch this, the graph looks like this. It says use the graph to estimate the solution of the equation this equals to negative 2. Negative 2 means we have to sketch a line at negative 2 like this. This is your y equals to negative 2 line. And the solution will be, we can get the solution from the point of intersection. So this point and this point. So this is negative 2.6, negative 2.6, and this is positive 1.8, negative 2.6 and positive 1.8. That's the answer. Let's move on to question number 5 now. It says a similar question. Complete the table of values y equals to x square minus 3x minus 1. So let's check. When it is minus 2, so minus 2 the whole square minus 3 into minus 2 minus 1, and the answer is 9. So at negative 2 we get 9. Now at negative 1 it is 3. At 0 it will be negative 1. At 1 it will be negative 3. At 2 it will be negative 3. At 3 it will be negative 1. And at 4 it will be 3. So now we have all the values. We can plot it. Negative 2, 9, negative 2, 9 here. Negative 1, 3, 0, negative 1 here. At 1 it is negative 3. At 2 also it is negative 3. At 3 it is negative 1. Sorry, it's here. And at 4 it is 3. So the graph will look like this. The first part is done. It says use a graph to find the estimate of the turning point of the graph x square minus 3x minus 1. Estimate of the turning point. So estimate of the turning point will be here, but we can also, we can answer it. So it is 1.5 comma, let's say 3.2. Let's check the exact value if you want to find the exact value. So x will be minus b, so minus 3 upon 2a, so 2 into 1, 3 by 2, which is 1.5, and the y component will be 1.5 square minus 3 times 1.5 minus 1. So basically we have to check at 1.5. It is minus 13 by 4, which is minus 3.25. So that's precise, or we can say the estimated value is close. Let's move on to question number 6 now. It says complete the table of values for y equals to x square minus 2x minus 5. So let's check. So first one is negative 3 square minus 2 times negative 3 minus 5, and the answer is 10. Then negative 2. At negative 2 we have 3. At negative 1 we get negative 2. At 0 it will be negative 5. Then at 1 it will be negative 6. At 2 it will be negative 5. At 3 it will be negative 2. So let's plot this first. Negative 3 and 10. Negative 3 and 10 is here. Negative 2, 3 is here. So this is 5, this is 2.5, 3 will be here. At negative 1 it is 2. So 0, 1, 2. At 0 it is negative 5. Wait. At 0, okay, I had to plot this one at negative 2. So negative 2.5, negative 2 is here. At 1 it is negative 6, so negative 5, negative 6 will be here. At 2 it is negative 5 again. At 3 it is negative 2, which is this one. So the graph will look like this. Sorry. Yeah. So the first part is done. Second part, use the graph to estimate the solution of the equation x square. So we can write it as x square minus 2x minus 5 equals to 0. So solution on the x-axis basically. This will go like this. This is your somewhere minus 1.5 comma, this can be 3.5 if we are estimating, and if you want to calculate it, x will be minus b by 2a, so minus 2 by 2, which is minus b by 2a, so minus b by 2 into a, so that is actually negative, sorry, that's positive 1. No, they're not asking the turning point. It's fine, we can write this as our answer. They're asking the solution and not the turning point. Let's move on to the last question, question number 7. It is complete the table of values for y equals to 7x minus x square. So for negative 1 it will be 7 times minus 1 minus bracket minus 1 the whole square, and the answer is negative 8. At 0 it will be 0. At 1 it will be 7 minus 1, that is 6. At 2 it will be 14 minus 4, that is 10. At 3 it will be 21 minus 9, that is 12. At 4 it will be 12 again. At 5 it is 10. So let's plot this. -1, -8, 0, 5, 7.5, 8. At 0 it is 0. At 1 it is 6, 5, 6. No, 6. At 2 it is 10. At 3 it is 12, 11, 12. And here also 12. And at 5 it is 10 again. So the graph actually looks like this. Yeah. So the first part is done. Use the graph to estimate the turning point of the graph. Turning point of the graph is here, which is 3.5, comma 12.5. Find the solution. So one of the solution is definitely 0. Find the solution. So we can also do it like this. We can take x common. 7 minus x equals to 0. So x equals to 0. Another 7 minus x equals to 0. So 7 is equals to x. So one of the solution is 0, x equals to 0. Another solution is x equals to 7. Yeah. So with this, we keep it till here. And I hope this was helpful to you. If you really like the video, do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends so that they can also get help during the examination season. That's all from my end. Bye everyone.